and welcome back to Story Stash. I'm your host Duncan, and these are some of my stories I've written. Today, I'm reading from my book Star Guardian, and this is chapter 24. So, let's go ahead with it. Chapter 24, Intel. After the excitement of the latest wave of foe vessels was over, Jem asked, "We have a discussion about it." Jem started out. "What differed from the past waves?" "They changed their pattern. By splitting up, they sought to flank us," I replied. "Brian had some new surprises for them," added Kaluna. "Yes, so we now have a fleet?" asked Jem. "Just 2 vessels. There was a vessel from the 4th wave that was largely undamaged. I arranged to have it upgraded and transformed into a Baglaji vessel. To defend this system, I make use of all available resources," I said. I hoped she would be happy about this. "And the name Molly?" "My mother's name," I said. "You got the foe vessels to turn on each other?" asked Jem. "Yes, they were doing it to distract the other vessel. You'll notice there were no critical shots, no serious damage done," I replied. "It worked well. You surprised me once again. It seriously confounded the foe," said Jem. "I was glad we did not have to kill." "But what will they say when they return home?" asked Kaluna. "I don't know how their leadership will take it. We sent home the last 2 waves and harmed none of their crews. If they think their technology is ineffective, they will be more cautious," I said. "We are getting stronger," said Jem. "Sometime soon they are going to respond in larger numbers," I countered. "Are the vessels from the earlier waves usable?" asked Jem. "The vessels from Wave 1 made an excellent decoy, as well as providing lots of intel for ship. The others were too damaged to repair. They were sent to the manufacturing facility to use for raw materials and parts," I answered. "What is next?" asked Jem. "I was thinking that the message we sent to the foe system should have arrived on day 12. If it worked, we will not see a wave on day 14. If it did not work, we could even see an even larger wave. From the response, we will be able to tell if the message worked or not," I said. "Okay, and then what?" asked Jem. 2 days after they got our message, which is today, 2 of their vessels will arrive in their system. Their report will contradict our message, so I expect more vessels leaving soon and arriving here on day 18 at the earliest. What they have to report should give them reason to be cautious, so it is possible they don't respond immediately," I replied. "You've been thinking this out carefully," said Kaluna. "Our survival depends on outthinking the foe. I spend much of my time thinking. As I have said before, I grew up on a planet where thinking was commonplace. I competed with the best," I said. "I almost found myself to be proud of my Tian heritage. This system had become a giant chessboard. Every 2 days my opponent made a move. I now had another 2 days to prepare for my response. So, in 2 days we might see no vessels, or many. If we don't see any in 2 days, in 4 or more days we should expect many. Is that correct, Commander?" asked Jem. "Yes, Captain. Plus I am waiting for the return of the probe we sent to their system. The data it provides should help us understand more about the foe," I replied. Jem smiled. "Thank you for your report, and thank you for defending our system once again. I am amazed how you have stayed a step ahead of the foe and defeated a greater opponent 6 times in a row." I sighed. I felt like her mood had turned positive. Ship did much of the work, building probes and the manufacturing facility. Now the manufacturing facility is up to speed. It is building probes and unmanned vessels, which will soon be deployed to make us even more strong, I said. I did not want to be the focus of attention. "Thank you, ship," said Jem. "Without your help, we would not have made it this far." "Yes, thank you, ship," said Kaluna. Ship did not respond to their thanks, but I felt Ship had done plenty. After our meeting, I went to our cabin. Molly travelled out to the areas where the foe vessels had deviated from their usual course and was deploying some additional dataport probes. Ship moved back behind Baglaji 4. Both Ship and Molly were working autonomously rather than needing directions. I figured it was a sign of the new self-improvement protocol. I would have to keep an eye on their progress. Kaluna dropped by. I stood up and she walked into my arms. The main bridge was a place to be more formal, but here was a place for hugs. "What's up?" I asked, still holding her. "I feel out of place. I am skilled in purchasing, but there are no vendors here. There is nothing to buy. I am not a military being," expressed Kaluna. "I'm not really a military being. I like figuring out things and the fighting from the shadows. It seems to work for me. I guess I like to do sneaky things," I said, grinning. "But I feel so useless here," she exclaimed. "Without Ship, we would all be dead. It is not just you feeling useless. Besides, you make a huge difference. You are our conscience. Your views directed my actions away from lethal responses. Hundreds of foe crew owe you their lives," I said. I felt rather awkward, as she was taller than me. I had to look up to look in her eyes. "Right," she replied. Her smile lit me up inside. "It is good you are here. I wanted to talk with you about something," I said. Changing the topic seemed a good idea. "What?" she asked. "I'm worried about Jem. I have been trying to convince her we should not go to the foe system to fight a war, but soon the probe will return. I am concerned what will happen if it reports Baglaji life signs detected in the foe system," I said. "I see. Our chances of survival fighting head-on with the foe in their system is pretty much zero. When the time comes, I need you to be a voice of reason. We may not be able to rescue her people, at least not yet," I said. Later, I found myself alone again. I checked in with Ship. I needed something new. "Ship, how goes it with production at the manufacturing facility?" I asked. "Production is proceeding. We are building several unmanned vessels and additional dataport probes," said Ship. "Could I get 2 unmanned vessels with cloak, shields, and weapons, and hyperspace propulsion, and also a capacity for 20 dataport probes? These vessels could travel to the foe system to deploy dataport probes. Include a full load of dataport probes," I said. "Designations?" asked Ship. "Holder and bearer," I replied. "Confirmed. Added to the production schedule," said Ship. "Ship, you understand how the foe sensors work?" I asked. "Confirmed. Analysis of the foe sensor protocols complete. They work on the same principles as Baglaji active sensors," replied Ship. "I have a new idea. Could you make a probe that generates a false signal? When a foe ship scans this probe, what it reflects could be something totally different. Can you do that?" "Confirmed. Upon receipt of an active scan, the probe could transmit a response that will be interpreted as the reflection of a scan," said Ship. "Could this probe mimic the response from a really large vessel, heavily armed and armored? Something more scary than a foe vessel?" "Confirmed. Your specification matches a Dreadnought-class battleship," Ship replied. "So, once built, this probe could appear on foe sensors as a huge, scary-looking dreadnought?" "Confirmed. It would appear on sensors only. This will require larger power units to sustain the deception," said Ship. "Okay, I want 2 of those, with all the usual stuff, hyperspace, propulsion, cloak, and the new fake dreadnought capability. These will be to provide a diversion when needed. Designate them Kala and Dura, I said. Confirmed. Added to the production schedule, said Ship. Awesome. Thank you, Ship, I replied. Day 16 arrived. We were in the main bridge. The tactical display showed the usual, plus more green dots near our dot, representing the unmanned vessels. Brian, what are all these green dots? Asked Jem. They are additional unmanned vessels, part of our system defenses. If the foe sends a larger wave today, I need to be ready for them, I replied. It was getting to look more like a chessboard with lots of dots representing all our relevant assets ready to deploy. I did not want to reveal all my surprises yet, though. Actually, that was quite Tian of me. Ship had informed me privately that it had changed the specifications on my new unmanned vessels, Alder, Bera, Kala, and Dura. Each had 20 dataport probes and the fake dreadnought capability. We waited. The expected time came and went. No wave of foe vessels arrived. Based on the previous waves, we knew they were regular. Still, we waited a bit longer before declaring our message successful. Attention, probe arriving in the system, said Ship. Is it ours? Asked Jem. For a moment I was worried. I had not expected the foe to use unmanned probes. That would be a break in their pattern. Confirmed, Ship replied a moment later. Direct the probe to rendezvous with us. Download the data as soon as you can, said Jem. Confirmed, said Ship. Ship could download the probe data before the rendezvous with the probe. We all watched the tactical display as it changed from displaying our system to the foe system. Ship, please give us a summary, said Jem. Confirmed. The foe inhabits the third and largest planet of 7 orbiting their star. Their planet has an atmosphere that is largely methane. There are over 200 vessels in the system of various classes and functions. Most vessels are around the third planet, with some patrolling the outer regions of the system, said Ship. That explains why they did not populate Bagla G4. They can't breathe the air here, said Kaluna. Yes, I agreed. Ship, are there any Bagla G life signs detected? Asked Jem. The display zoomed in on the third planet, and then zoomed in on one of its moons. The moon had a blue atmosphere. I could guess the answer. Confirmed. Bagla G life signs are detected on this moon, orbiting the third planet. Atmosphere is compatible with a nitrogen-oxygen mix. Vegetation and water is available. Several thousand life signs detected in a township next to a large lake. Exact numbers unavailable, said Ship. Are there any foe vessels orbiting the moon? I asked. None detected. Are there any foe beings on the surface of the moon? I asked. None detected. Perhaps because they cannot escape the moon, they don't need to be watched, said Jem. Ship, what would the surface gravity be as a proportion of Bagla G4 gravity? I asked. The gravity is about 0.7 of Bagla G4 gravity at sea level, Ship replied. They had about 20 generations to adapt to the lighter gravity, I commented. Ship, would it be possible to devise some kind of treatment for them to adapt to Bagla G4 gravity? Asked Jem. It would require they remain aboard a vessel with variable gravity and increasing it over an extended period, replied Ship. Let me guess. We are going to visit them with a view to bringing them back to Bagla G4, I asked. You are correct, replied Jem. Well, that's the end of chapter 24. And next episode we'll have chapter 25, Travel to the Foe System. So, hope to see you then. Until then, goodbye.